Kadosh, Boker Or. Daf Yomi Masechet Shevuot. It's a new Masechet, Daf Bet Amud Aleph, 2A1. This Masechet, by the way, is at the end, right? In Seder Nizikin, immediately after Makot, because there's a comparison to the end of Masechet Makot, to the beginning of Shevuot. And we're obviously, the majority of this Masechet is going to speak about Shevuot, right? That's the majority of this Masechet, right? Which is basically about vows, different promises and Nidarim, Nidarot, right? Nidarim, Shevuot. And there's going to be many different types also that we're going to go through, whether it's going to be a Neder or Shavua. And we're going to have also a lot of different types of Shevuot also. We're going to have, if a person swears falsely, Shevuot Sheker, Shevuot Bitui, that means he just made a false proclamation, but he did it in the name of a vow, which was for nothing. There was no outcome from it. Shevuot Shav, Shevuot Ayedut, right? If you don't know about testimony, right? We have Shevuot Pikadon. I come and I tell you, did you have my pencil? You say no. I make you swear, and then you didn't have that Shevuot Pikadon, right? You're going to Shevuot Dayanim. So there's many different types of vows that obviously we're going to learn throughout this entire, right, Masechet. Okay? He comes and he says like this. When we're talking about Shevuot Bitui, we were talking about a person that comes and he makes a Shevuah, something that has nothing to do with anybody else. He just made it himself. So, for example, he makes a Shevuah, I'm going to do A, or I'm not going to do A. Shevuah that I did do A, or I didn't do A. And then he's over on the Shevuah, right? Or it was not true. So therefore, that is called Shevuot Bitui. So to minute, nobody obligated me to make a Shevuah. It wasn't that I went and you come and you tell me, you owe me money, you don't owe me money, you have my pikadon, or I want you to testify about my testimony or not. Nothing to do with anybody else. Stop. I come here. Nishba. He comes and he says, he swears that what? That yesterday he went and he had an incredible steak. Yeah. So therefore, if it's going to be false, so he was over on a Shevuah. Why? Because it was sheker. Or he says he's going to have it, and he doesn't have it. So that's going to be Shevuot Bitui. So starts our Mishnah. Shevuot Bitui. We're talking about Shevuot Bitui. Now, on a Shevuot Bitui, you're going to be chayav, right? A korban. What is the korban? The korban is going to be, right? Ole v'yored. Mazeh korban ole v'yored. Anybody knows what a korban ole v'yored is? It up and down according to. You're right. That goes according to what? No. According to your rich status, your wealth. If a person is going to be, meaning that usually you come and you bring a chatat is kavua. However, those certain times, if he's going to be in the ani, right, or an ashid, he's going to bring it. So if he's in ashid, he's going to come and he's going to bring, right, he's going to bring something else. And if it's going to be poor, he's going to bring something else. If he's going to be mamash poor, it's something different. So therefore, right, certain averot that you're going to bring korban or levi ored is going to be Shevuot Ha'edut, Shevuot Bitui, and Tumah Mikdash. Those are three different averot, right? That if a person comes and he does it accidentally, he's going to bring a korban or levi ored. So he's going to bring a korban, which is going to be the regular korban. That's if he's rich. If he's going to be a poor, he'll bring a korban mincha, which is a flour offering. And if he's going to be even more poor, he's going to come and he's going to bring the birds. Okay, so therefore you have the different levels. Ole v'yored. Mincha. Korban mincha is sold. Yeah. So one more time. Yeah, we have korban ole v'yored. Okay, so now he comes and he says like this. You have shtaim shehen arba. You're going to have two types of cases, which are actually going to be like four cases. Okay, we're going to see obviously in the throughout the entire Mishnah, right? Many different things of shtaim shem arba, right? Or this was actually in other Masechtot as well. But let's go. Okay, so right, he says, right, yediot tuma, also shtaim shem arba. So we started with Shevuot, but not only is it Shevuot, you're also going to have Yediot Tumah. Yediot Tumah is also going to be two, which are going to be 4. Okay? Yitziot Shabbat. Yitziot Shabbat is also going to be 2, right? Which is basically 2 Av Melachot, which are going to be 4. Okay? Marot Negaim. This week's parasha. We're supposed to read it tomorrow, right? Marot Negaim. It's tomorrow's parasha. Tazriya. Right? Tazriya Metzorah. Tazriya Tara. So he says, Marot Negaim, also Shenaim, Shehen, Arba. Okay? So all these things are going to be Shtaim, Shehen, Arba. Now, right? If you want, I'll just give you the case so you understand, and then from there you're already going to understand everything else. When we say Shtaim, Shehen, Arba, so there's 2 different types of Shevuot which are brought down in the Torah. Because it says, O nefesh ki tishava levatea bisfatayim lehara o lehetiv, which means that you did it lehara, on the atid, or, right, lehetiv, for the bad or for the good. Now, it becomes 4 because there's going to be another 2 which are not mefurash in the Torah, but we learn them from it, which are Shevuot on the avar, not on the atid. So, to minute kacha, right? What is the normal cases of Shevuot? I'm going to make a Shevuah that tonight, Bezrat Hashem, I'm going to have basar, lamb chops. Yeah, lamb chops. Right? Why lamb chops? Right? Shabbat Kodesh. So therefore, that's going to be Shani Yochal Ani E'ese Ala Atid. Right? It's going to be on the future. There's going to be also a Shevuah Shani Lo E'ese. Yeah, I'm not going to do something tonight. So tonight, I'm not going to come and I'm not going to eat chicken. Why? Ce n'est pas possible. Lichvot Shabbat, you're going to come and start to eat. You have to eat the good stuff, right? The meat. Huh? No, 1 minute. No, nothing to do with it. 2 different Shavuot. One Shavuot is Shavuot Shani Ese Aleph. Shavuot Shani Lo Ese Aleph. לא קשור. צריך להגיד מה. לא, שבוע זה להגיד. אין דבר כזה. שבוע זה שבוע שהוא נשבע. Those are for the future. זה 2. שהן 4. מה זה שהן 4? אותו דבר, אבל העבר. On the past. שבוע שאני עשיתי משהו. שבוע that I did something. Or שבוע שאני לא עשיתי משהו. No, it says about did. There's in the past and then there's in the future.
You say that 2 or 4.
1 minute.
You said 4. You said 4. You said.
The second one is the same concept. Because remember, what do we speak about? We spoke about Shevuot. We spoke about Tum'ah, Shabbat, and Negaim. 4 cases, which there are 2, which becomes 4. Okay? So let's go to the second one. Second one is Idiota Tum'ah. What is the Idiota Tum'ah? There's going to be also a Korban, or Lev Yored, on Idiota Tum'ah. You remember I told you that when a person comes into the Bet HaMikdash and he's Tameh, so he has to bring a Korban Olev Yored. Okay? So that's called Shigigat Tumat Mikdash V'Kodoshav, or if you ate the Kodshim when you were Tameh. So there's going to be also Shtaim, which are Mefudashim in the Torah, right? And then he's going to be, which become another 2, right? Fine. We're also going to learn. So it comes out 2, which are 4. Okay, fine. If you want, which one? Why 16? Well, yes, but they're all in different cases. We're only talking about Shevuot. Meaning, if I'm going to ask you how many cases of Shevuot are there, you're going to tell me 4. You're not going to tell me 16. There's 4 of exactly. No, there's 2 min Torah and 2 that they learn not mefurash in the Torah, but they learn it from a ribui in the pasuk. Meaning, from the fact that the pasuk said an extra word or an extra whatever it is, letter, an extra word, an extra. So therefore, it becomes 4. So it becomes 4 categories instead of 2 categories. Okay. So here it says this is Tumat Mikdash V'Kodoshav. If you look in the pasuk in the bottom, he tells you Adam Tameh that he came into the Bet Mikdash b'shogeg, or he ate kodshim b'shogeg. So the same thing, he's going to bring a korban olev yored. The reason why is because obviously, right? Remember that we're talking about b'shogeg because this is always a korban olev yored is a chatat. It's a sin offering. Sin offering is b'shogeg, not on purpose. Okay, so the Mishnah comes and it says that you're going to have 2 cases, right? Which become Yidiyah mitchila shu tameh ve'achak nilma mimenu, and then he went into the Bet HaMikdash, right? And then he found out that he was tameh again, or he ate at the Kodesh. So therefore, those are the Yidiyah is before, and the basically meaning in order for you to be chayva korban, you need a yediyah before that you were over, and yediyah afterwards, and a helem benatayim. Meaning meaning you have to know before and afterwards, and in between you forgot. That's called the shtaim, that they're going to become arba, okay, which is going to be that you knew at the beginning, right? And then it was shulo yada, right? And therefore you went into the Bet HaMikdash, and then you remembered again, right? But again, there's going to be different cases. So there's going to be 2, which are going to become 4. The next one is, again, Shabbat. So this is the first Mishnah in Shabbat, by the way. Right? A lot of these ones are the first Mishnayot, right, in each Masechet. So the first Mishnah of Shabbat is Yetziot HaShabbat Shtayim Shem Rabbah. Yeah? Which means that when you're talking about Yetziot HaShabbat, when you take something out of one domain to another domain in Hilchot Shabbat, so you're also going to have 2 melachot, 2 tzurot, which is basically taking a chefetz from Reshut Yachid to Reshut Rabim, okay, from the private domain to the public domain, from your house to the Reshut Rabim, right? And then it's going to be also Arba, which becomes another 2, okay, which is also from one Reshut to another Reshut, right? You're also going to be Chayav, which is from the Reshut Rabim to the Reshut Yachid, right? And so on and so forth. Then we have Marot Negaim. So Marot Negaim, you're also going to have the same thing. Marot Negaim is basically, again, Tumat Sarat, that we were speaking about in this week's parasha, which is also going to be 2 which are mefurash in the Torah. Okay, so he says they're called Se'et and Baheret. Okay, and then you have Arba'ah, which is another 2 which are not mefurashim in the Torah, but we learn it from the Psukim as well. Okay, he says Kemar Noga Saviv. Fine. So he comes now and he says, right, Et sheyesh ba'yediyah batchila, v'yediyah basof, v'helem benatayim, hareze be'olev yored. So therefore, if a person had the yediyah at the beginning, meaning he knew he was tameh, that means yediyah means he has a knowledge, he knows that he's tameh at the beginning, even before he went into the Bet HaMikdash, or before he ate the kodshim, v'yediyah basof, and he also has yediyah basof, mazot omeret, after you did it, you also know that you did it. Meaning after you did it, correct? You found out, one second, what are you doing? You're tameh. Fine. Vehelem benatayim. Helem benatayim means during the time when you did the avirah, that's when you forgot. That's the helem, right? Ne'elam, right? The helem benatayim. So therefore, you didn't know about it during the time. Meaning when you were eating it, you completely forgot. Or when you came into the Bet HaMikdash, you completely forgot. So arezeh bekorban ole v'yored. Again, you're going to get ole v'yored. Fine. Next, im yesh ba yediyah batchila ve'en ba yediyah basof. What happens if you have a yediyah at the beginning, but you don't have it at the end? Meaning, even at the end that you went in, right? You still didn't know you were tameh. So sa'ir naaseh bifnim v'yom ha'kippurim toleh ad shivadalo, and then yavi be'olev yored. Meaning like this. What happens if you never found out? You knew at the beginning you were tameh. You forgot. You went into the Bet HaMikdash, or you ate kodshim. And now you don't know that be'emet, meaning that it didn't come to your mind. You didn't know. Ad hasof lo yadata be'emet shavarta mashu. Why? Shachachta v'gamarnu. Right? You forgot, and that's it. You don't have anything. So what happens? So you have the Sa'id of the Yom Kippurim, which is done on the inside, not the Sa'id HaMishtalech. The Sa'id HaMishtalech is the one that you send outside. But the Sa'id, which is going to be done on the inside, this Sa'id, there's going to be 3 Sa'idim, right? On the Rishon is going to be, right, in the Kodesh Kodashim, right? And you're going to have the second one, which is going to be, right, as Nishlach LaAzazel. And the third one is going to be with the Korbanot HaMusafim. Okay, so he comes and he says, right, the Seira Rishon, which is the one which is done on the inside, which is inside the Kodesh Kodashim. So this one and Yom Kippurim itself is going to be Toleh, which means it's going to make sure that it's going to protect him from Yisurim, from suffering, until he finds out about it. Now, when he does find out about it, then he's going to bring a Korban Oleh V'yored, right? Because once you know, now that's it. Now you have to bring it. Until here, we're clear. Yes. מה? בינתיים לא. אין בה ידיעה בתחילה, אבל יש בה ידיעה בסוף. What happens right now if a person did not have a yediah at the beginning, but he did have it at the end? Meaning when he became tameh, he didn't even know he was tameh. the first original case was Yediyah Batchala Vebasof, meaning he knew at the beginning that he was Tameh, and then he forgot. The Helem was Benetayim in the middle. And then he knew at the end that he was Over, meaning, right, he went into the Bet HaMikdash, he's doing his things, he goes back home, he says, hey, 1 second, I was Tameh. Ma kore? Korban olev yored. What happens if there was Yediyah Batchila, right, and then Helem on the rest? I completely forgot. I went into Bet HaMikdash, I came out, but I never found out about it. So I'm just walking around and I'm doing all my things, and I never paid attention, meaning it never came back to me and hit me that Be'emet I did an Avirah. So there you have the Sa'ir and the Yom Kippur is going to protect us, right? The Sa'ir, which is done on Yom Kippur, which is inside the Bet HaMikdash Kodesh Kodeshim, and the Yom Kippur itself is going to protect us. And then you have, when you find out about it, if you remember, so you're going to bring a Korban Olev Yored. Now what happens is, you didn't know about it at the beginning. Meaning you became Tameh, you didn't know you were Tameh. Yeah? And then what happened? You did whatever it was. You went into Bet HaMikdash. Only afterwards did you find out. You did find out one time, but when? At the end. It was already after everything else. Meaning you didn't even know about it at the beginning. So here, Sa'ida Nasa Bachutz. This is going to be now the seed which is going to be done on the outside, right? Which is the third seed, which is done with the Korbanot Musafim. You remember I told you there's 3 seeds. The one which is done Bifnim, which is the Kohen Gadol doing a Bifnim, right? This is the one that came out to Lashem. The second one is Seid HaMishtaleach, you send it out, right? You send it and you throw it down, right? You throw it down off the cliff. And the third one is Korbanot Musafim. Okay, so here we're talking about Korbanot Musafim. Okay, the third one. So he comes and he says, right? En ba'yediyah, if you don't have b'yediyah b'tchila, but you do have it at the sof, Seid na'asa b'chutz, the Seid which is going to be the seed of Musaf, right? Not the one that's thrown on the cliff. That for sure not. Right? The Seid of the Musaf, Yom HaKippurim mechaper. Shneimar, but says in a pasuk, milevad chatat HaKippurim, besides the chatat HaKippurim, which is done on the inside, right? Al ma shezeh mechaper, zeh mechaper. He says it comes out that there's a hekesh. Whatever this is going to atone, this is going to atone. What does that mean? Just like the inside one is only going to be mechaper when you know about it. So to the outer one, it's only going to atone on something that you know about it. Okay? Which means, right, even though you didn't have a yediyah at the beginning, but you did need a yediyah basof. Okay? Until you were clear. Fine. What's the fourth case? He says, Al en ba'yediyah lo b'tchila velo basof. Remember, we're talking about yediyah. Yediyah means you know about something. So whenever you have a case, there's always going to be 4 cases. You knew at the beginning and you knew at the end. You forgot in the middle. That was the first case. Right? You knew at the beginning, you forgot for the rest. Forgot in the middle and forgot at the end. You didn't know at the beginning, but you knew at the end. And you didn't know at the beginning, you didn't know at the end. You understand? Yes, yes. Sorry. Yes, yes. Very good. Yes. Hamakom gorem. 100%. Yeah, very good. So he says here is al en ba'yediyah lo b'tchila velo b'sof, not at the beginning and not at the end, which means you never know you became tameh, or you never knew you were going to. You didn't know anything from the beginning to the end. Mamash clueless, right? You became tameh. You didn't even know. You went into the Bet HaMikdash that you didn't know. You came out. You still didn't know, and you never found out. So you're mamash clueless. You don't know anything. So here he says, Sireh ha-regalim u'sireh rashei chodashim mechaprin. Here, it's going to be the seed of the regalim. We know that on the shalosh regalim, they bring a seed. On every single one of the chag, you're going to bring the seed as a chatat with all the other korbanot musafim. So the seed of regalim, shalosh regalim, right? Pesach, Shavuot, Sukkot, yeah? And the sireh rashei chodashim, and on Rosh Chodesh, we also bring a seed, right? A seed lechatat with all the korbanot. So he comes and it's going to be mechaper. These are the words of Rabbi Yehuda. He says, Rabbi Shimon comes and he says, Seirei ha-regalim mechaprim, aval lo seirei rashei chodashim. Only the seed of the regalim, not of the rashei chodashim. Ve'al ma seirei rashei chodashim mechaprim. So what is it going to come? And it's going to be mechaper, right? Because 1 second, if you're just going to tell me the Sireh Rosh Chodesh is not going to be mechaper. So what's it going to come and going to be mechaper? Bet amubet, to be or not to be. Yeah. So he says, ala tahor shachal et tameh, right? On a tahor that he ate something which was tameh. Okay, meaning right al adam tahor that he ate something tameh. Okay, that is going to be the one of Sireh Rosh Chodeshim. Okay, 100%. But each one is something different. 100%. Each one is going to be different. Rabbi Meir Omer. Yeah, and that's going to be the Kohanim are going to have this in mind for all of Klal Yisrael for sure. So Rabbi Meir comes and he says, Kol Asirim Kaparatan Shava. All of them are going to be the exact same. Yeah, all of them. They're all the same. They're what? Kaparatan Shava al Tumat Migdash v'Kadashav. On Tumat Migdash and Kadashav, which doesn't matter. Meaning that according to him, it's all the same. Yeah, it's all the same. Now he comes and he says, except for there's one exception to the rule, which is going to be the seed of Pnimi and Yom HaKippurim. Oh wow, we're gonna see it. We're gonna see it. There's a big chart on the next page. What? Bet amubet. Yeah, Aya Rabbi Shimon Omer. Says Rabbi Shimon, Tzirei Rashi Chodashim mechaprim al tahor she'achal et tameh. So Tzirei Rosh Chodesh would be mechaper on the tahor, which he ate the tameh, right? Meaning not the tumat of coming into the Bet HaMikdash, but on if you're tahor and you ate something tameh. ושרגלים מכפרים על שאין בה ידיעה לא בתחילה ולא בסוף, right? And the regalim would be mechaper on if you did not have yediah, not at the beginning, not at the end. של יום הכיפורים מכפר על שאין בה ידיעה בתחילה אבל יש בה ידיעה בסוף. That you don't have yediah at the beginning, but you do have yediah בסוף. So אמרו לו, so they went and they told him to Rabbi Shimon, מהו שיקרבו זה בזה. Which means, right? Imagine right now if one of the seirim which was separated, let's say for the Musaf of Kippur, right? If it got lost, can it be mikaper with another Said? Right? And then all of a sudden they came and they found that one. Is it mutar also to bring it now on the regel or on Rosh Chodesh or not? Yeah? So one more time, they separated a Said. It was for Kippur. Now, according to you, each one of these Seidim was a kapara for something else. But it's still a Said for a right? It's still a Said. So the question is, can I come now and bring it for another time? Right? One more time. It's always sibur. We're never talking about a yachid. No, that's something else. That was on something else. Yeah. So he says, right? The question is, right? What happens now? So he says, Elmaleh, and he tells them, Yikirvu, you can bring it. So Amrulo, so they told him, 1 second, what do you mean Yikirvu? Hoil ben kaparatan shava, he says, if they don't have the same atonement, meaning if you're going to tell me it's the same thing, so listen, it has the same function. If it has the same function, so yeah, bring it the same thing. Zotorvar, what's the difference? Right? It all does the exact same thing. But if you're going to tell me that each one has a different, yes, thank you, a different meaning. Each one is going to have a different mission in life. So therefore he comes and he says, so how are you going to bring it? No. The subcategories are different. But the top category is the same. What is a mechaper on tumat migdash v'kodashav, coming into the Bet Migdash when you're tameh, or eating kodshim when you're tameh, which is tumat migdash v'kodashav. So therefore, since the top category is the same, even though you're right, each one was something different, but each sa'id, each korban was being atoning for a different aspect of that avera, but the top part of the avera is otodova. Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda Omer Mishmor. Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda comes and he says in the name of Rabbi Shimon, right? Which is basically Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. So he comes and he says, right? Whenever you say Rabbi Shimon without naming his father, his kavanah is Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. Okay, so Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda says in the name of Rabbi Shimon, which is Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, Sirei Rashi Chodashim mechaprim al tahor she'achal et tameh. Sirei av Rashi Chodashim is going to be mechaper on somebody that's pure, that ate something which is tameh. Okay, was this the same as the previous one? No, read again. No, but look at the one. Look one above. One more time. Hayad Rabbi Shimon Omer. Right? Not Rabbi Shimon Yehuda Omer Mishmo. Hayad Rabbi Shimon Omer. Sirei Rosh Chodashim mechaprim ala taor she'achal et tameh. So this is the same until now. Okay. Mosif alehem. So now you're going to add on shel regalim shemechaprim al taor she'achal et tameh. Right? So it's also going to do the same thing. Plus, ve'al she'en ba'yediah lo b'tchila ve'lo b'sof. Right? That you don't know at the beginning and the end. Mosif alehem, you're going to add on to them the kippurim, which the kippurim is going to be mechaper al taor she'achal et tameh. Ve'al en ba'yediah lo b'tchila ve'lo b'sof. Ve'gam ken al sheben yediah אבל יש לה ידיעה בסוף. אמרו לו, so they told him the same thing. מהו שיקרבו זה בזה? Can you bring them on? This one we just did now, which is a beautiful svara. Basically, what he just said was, beforehand, it was mashma that each one has a separate mission, correct? So since it has a separate mission statement, zelo todavar. The seed of Rosh Chodesh is not the same thing what's going to achieve the seed of the Shalosh Regalim. And seed of Shalosh Regalim is not going to be the same as the seed of Kippur. Rabbi Akiva just said, each one is Mosif. Right? So what is the lowest level? Tahor shachal et tameh. Correct? You're pure, and you ate kochim, which is tameh. Okay, that's lowest level. So which one is that? Rosh Chodesh. When you go up a level, what's above Rosh Chodesh? Shalosh Regalim. Chazak Baruch. Right? Shalosh Regalim. So therefore, the one of the Shalosh Regalim, right, that is going to be 1 plus 1. So it's going to be mechaper al tahor shachal et kodesh plus, right, plus al shen ba'yediah lo b'tchila ve'lo sof. Go to the next level. What's above Shalosh Regalim? Kippur. But which one in Kippur? Outside. Chazak Baruch. So that one, no. Right? מה אתה שולח אותי? איפה אתה שולח אותי? Okay, fine. No, Azazel, we said it was completely Azazel. Forget about the Azazel. He went already to Azazel. Now you do that. Yeah. No, it's not that one. That's not that one. The one that's outside. Exactly. There are 3 of them. Outside, Azazel, and inside. The one of the outside doesn't mean outside of the Bet HaMikdash. It's outside of the Kodesh HaKodashim. The Azazel is not brought as a korban. The Azazel is thrown to the Azazel. Right? You throw it out. You throw it out and it breaks into pieces. No. That's a kapara. It's a shliach lazel. It's not a korban, but it's not a korban. You're throwing out all the avirot. What? When you say a korban, it means that you're bringing it on the mizbeach. It's a korban la'azazel, but it's not a korban. It's not what we're talking about. No. Yes. Okay, Baruch Hashem. אנחנו מבינים. There's 2 what? Shh. 1 second, what? Which one did we offer first? The one on the side, and then he would walk over and throw the... That's the order of Yom Kippur.
לא, אבל הוא... קודם כל הם צריכים לדעת מי זה עזאזל ומי זה...
Yeah, they have to do the goral first. They do a goral, but that's Seder Yom Kippurim. That's Seder Yom Kippurim. All right, the beginning Parashat Achremot, what you read on Kippur in the morning, right? Yeah, that's and again, it's not one. It's not all in one shot, right? So one more time. Yeah, the one which is going to be done outside, and then the one which is going to be done inside. So the one which is going to be Kippur, which is going to be on the outside, right? He says, Mosif alehem Kippurim, shen mechaprim on 1 plus 1 plus 1. Taor shachal et tameh, right? On en ba'yediah lo b'tchila v'lo sof, v'gam en ba'yediah b'tchila, אבל יש וידיעה בסוף. Okay? So now he comes and he says, Amru lo. So now they come and they ask, according to this shita, ma'u sheikrevu ze b'zeh. Can you now bring it on each other? So Amar lahem, he says, yes. Amru lahem, he says, 1 second. Im ken, yushel yom kippurim krevim b'roshei chodashim. So therefore, the one of Kippur, you could bring on Rosh Chodesh. Aval hechal Rosh Chodesh, krevim b'yom kippurim lechaper kapara she'ena shelah. Meaning like this. There's an all-inclusive. So to mean it like this, if you're going to tell me right now that the Kippur one got lost, because that's what we're talking about. We got lost, and now we want to bring it for something else. The seed got lost. I can't find it. Ran away, got lost, and then I found it. So in between, I already brought another one. So now, if I'm going to tell you that I could bring this Sa'id of Kippur on Rosh Chodesh, for sure you could bring it. Why? Because Mimanav Shach, it was going to be Mechaper anyway for the same thing of the Rosh Chodesh. Right? Why? Because at the end of the day, this was an all-encompassing Korban. This Korban was going to be Mechaper on everything. So obviously it could be Mechaper on the Rosh Chodesh. But he says, but what about Afuch? If this is the one of Rosh Chodesh, it's only going to be Mechaper al. What does that mean? Tahor shachal et tameh. Very good. Tahor shachal et tameh. So he comes and he says, but 1 second. If I'm going to bring this one that got lost on Rosh Chodesh on Kippur, how's it going to be mechaper on everything else? Because remember, the one of Kippur on the outside was mechaper on 3 things. What was the 3 things? Tahor shachal et tameh. Batchila v'b'lesof, and Aval ken yada basof. Right, but remember the last one, which is the inside, was on both. Sheyada gam batchala v'gam basof ve'elam time. Okay, you're just going up in the orders. Just remember that it's not difficult. That's the first one. That's not the Rosh Chodesh. That's the first one of the. That's the first one of the Regalim. Remember, you had the Rosh Chodesh, Regel, Kippur outside, Kippur inside. So Rosh Chodesh, right? Remember, we're all in Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai right now, right? That's what, just pay attention. Well, yeah, that's why there's a chart on the next page. Yeah, one more time. We have Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. You have Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh is going to be mitaher on what? Mechaper on tahor shachal et tameh. Your tahor, you ate something tameh of Kodesh, right? Remember, whenever we mention Kodesh, it's korbanot. It's not truma. Yeah, Kodesh. Kodesh means kodshim, right? You're eating something of Kodesh. That's going to be Rosh Chodesh. Next, you have the Regalim. Regalim does that one plus Lo Yediah, Lo Batchala, Velo Basof. You didn't have a Yediah, not at the beginning, not at the end. The next one, above Shalosh Regalim, Kippur Bachutz. What is the one of Kippur Bachutz? Right? Tahor Shechal et Kodesh. En ba Yediah, Lo Batchala, Velo Sof. Ve'en lecha b'Yediah Batchala, ve'yeshcha basof. Okay? And then he comes, and obviously the next one, the last one, is going to be on both. So he comes and he says, Aval. So he says, can you bring both of them together? He says, but how do you bring the one of Rosh Chodesh on Kippur? Doesn't make sense. The one of Rosh Chodesh is limited. The one of Rosh Chodesh only is mechaper on Tahor. You're pure that you ate the Kodesh, which was Tameh. So how is that going to be mechaper on everything else? I understand the one of Kippur got lost. You could use it for whatever you want, but it's like a joker card. You come, it's like an ace. No, the ace is the one that you could use for whichever one you want. Or the joker card. It's a joker card, right? So you do whichever one you want. But if you're going to tell me now, right, like the Uno cards, that you have all the 4 colors, right? You come here, you could choose whichever one that you want. That is the one of Kippur, because afterwards I could do whichever one I want. But the one of Rosh Chodesh, I can't bring it up. So if it was now, the one of Rosh Chodesh got lost, how do I bring it on Kippur? That was the question that they asked him. Elmaleh, he says, the same answer. Kulam ba'in lechaper tumat mikdash vekodoshav. He says still the same kapara. You're right, each one is designated for a specific thing, and one is more encompassing, one is more inclusive, and some are not. But it's b'diuk oto davar. The yesod on the top is kapara for tumat mikdash vekodoshav. Tumat of the bet mikdash and the kodshim. So therefore it's the same thing. For all of them. Yeah, even though each one has its own specifics, and some of them are more inclusive of everything, and it's going to be mechaper much more. Doesn't matter. Okay, next. So now he comes and he says like this. He says, Ve'al zedon tumat mikdash vekodoshav. Right? What about the zedon mikdash tumat vekodoshav? I'm towards the end of the Mishnah. Zedon means now that you did it you did it bechavana. What is zedon? מה זה זדון? יש לך little aleph. You got it? ועל זדון מקדש וקודשיו, זאת אומרת, הוא ידע שהוא טמא. אבל הוא עשה את זה בזדון. מה זה בזדון, everyone? כוונה. עשה את זה בכוונה. So that's called מזיד. So סעיר הנעשה בפנים, ויום הכיפורים מכפרים, the סעיר which is going to be inside, and יום כיפור is going to be מכפר, ועל שאר עבירות בתורה, and all the other עבירות in the Torah, קלות וחמורות, which are going to be the kalot and the chamurot, hazdonot v'lashagagot, whether it's zadon or shogeg, purposely or by accident, hoda or lo hoda, whether it's known or not known, aseh lo ta'aseh, whether it's going to be positive commandments, negative commandments, kritu to mitobetin, whether it's karet or mitobetin, seir mishtaleach mechaper. The seir mishtaleach is going to be mechaper on that. So the seir mishtaleach is a completely different vaydaber. Yes, that's the one that you're throwing off the cliff. Yes. You're sending to the seir mishtaleach. That is the seir mishtaleach. The seir is going to be mechaper on all the other averot in the Torah, whether it's going to be kalot v'chamurot, zedonot ushkagot, hoda or lo hoda, aseh lo ta'aseh, kritu to mitot betin.
But that doesn't mechaper on all the other ones that we just mentioned.
אחד ישראלים ואחד כהנים ואחד כהן משוח. Yeah, it doesn't matter whether it's a Yisrael or it's going to be Kohanim, or it's going to be even a Kohen HaMashuach, which means Mamash, he's Nimshach, B'Shem HaMishcha, which is the Kohen Gadol. All of them is going to be Mitkaprim bo. Uma ben Yisraelim leKohanim. So what's the difference then? So he says, Ela shapar mechaper la Kohanim al Tumah Mikdash veKadoshav. The par is going to be mitaher, right? It's going to be mechaper on the Tumat Mikdash veKadoshav for the Kohanim, right? Even though he says Al Zusha mitkaper Yisrael through the Seir Pnimi, right? He comes and he says, right? It says over here like this, it's going to be mitkaper al Yisrael al idei Seir Chitzon. So he says, Rabbi Shimon Omer, Keshem shedam ha'seir na'asa bifnim mechaper al Yisrael, just like the blood of the dam ha'seir of Kippur, which is done on the inside, is going to be mechaper on the Yisrael, which is not a Kohen, right? So he says, even without vidui, because they don't do vidui on that seir at all. Kach dam ha'par mechaper al Kohanim, so too it's going to be mechaper on the Kohanim. So this is the dam ha'par of the Kohen Gadol. Okay, Keshem sheviduyo shel seir mishlech mechaper al Yisrael, and just like the vidui of the seir mishlech, which is going to be mechaper in Yisrael, which are not going to be Kohanim, right? So he comes and he says, so too the vidui of the par is going to be mechaper also on the Kohanim, and therefore the Kohanim are not going to be mitkaprim in the seir mishlech at all. Okay, that's what we're trying to say. So it comes out, right? If you look in the footnote, right, because we're going to start the Gemara tomorrow and on Sunday, Bezat Hashem, but look in the footnote in 24. So he says like this, V'ninsa. So it comes out, Shelinyan Tumat Mikdash veKodoshav, to do with the Tumat Mikdash veKodoshav, right? Rabbi Shimon is going to be modeh to the Tanakama, that the Seir Pnimi and the Seir Mutzafim Mechaprim al Yisraelim, each one on their Tumah. And al Kol Tug Sumah Shel Kohanim is the Azayat Adam of the Para Kohen Gadol. But to do the Averot, the other Averot, right, of the Kohanim, is the Machloket. Yeah? So one more time, you have the Par of the Kohen Gadol for the Kohanim, and then you have the Sirim for Yisraelim. Then you have a Machloket on the other Averot, not Tumat Mikdash veKodoshav. You have the other Averot. What is the other Averot? Tanakama, the Seir Mishtaleach is going to be Mechaper also on Yisraelim and also Kohanim. According to Rabbi Shimon, is only going to be on the Yisraelim. And the Kohanim are only going to be Mitkaprim on the Vidui of the Vidui of the Kohen Gadol on his par. Okay? Now, here you have the chart. Everyone look at the chart. You have Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda in the name of Rabbi Shimon, which means the name of Shimon Bar Yochai, and then you have Rabbi Meir. Okay? Everyone's there?
Yes.
One more time. So you have 4 different shitot in the Mishnah, 4 rabbis. Right? You had Rabbi Meir, you had Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon, and Rabbi Shimon in the name of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Okay?
So whose opinion did we study? We only studied one?
We studied all 4.
We studied all 4?
Of course. Look at towards the beginning, right? We started on page Bet Amud Aleph on the bottom. We brought down Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. Then we had Rabbi Shimon, right there. Then when we turned the page, right, we had Rabbi Meir Omer, Kol Asirin Kabaratan Shaval, Shigai Tumah Megidoshav. Then we had Rabbi Shimon, and then we had Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda. So you have all of them there. You have Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda in the name of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and then Rabbi Meir. You have all 4 rabbis. What is the word? What?
Concealment.
No, he's unaware. Concealment is concealed. It's hidden. It's hidden. Helem, ne'alam.
Okay.
No, it's concealed. I don't know. No, it depends when. I don't know when it's written there, concealment. But the derech klal, the helem means it's concealed. Okay?
Unaware, basically.
Unaware, yes. Unaware. Okay? So one more time, 1 second. So you have Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda in the name of Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, and Rabbi Meir. Now you have 4 korbanot. Seir Pnimi of Kippur. You have Seir Musaf of Kippur, which is the outside one. That's why it's called the Seir Musaf. You have Seir Musaf of Shalosh Regalim and Seir Musaf of Rosh Chodesh. 4 different korbanot. But remember, Seir Mishtaleach is a completely different Vaidaber. Okay? Everyone clear until here? One more time. We had 4 korbanot, 4 Seirim. Seed inside is the Kodesh Kodeshim. Seed outside, which is the seed of Musaf, of Kippur. Both of them are Kippur. Seed of Shalosh Regalim, Pesach Shavuot Sukkot, right? And also the seed of Rosh Chodesh. 4 also. So now let's start. So, seed Pnimi of Yom Kippur is, according to Shitat Rabbi Yehuda, Yesh Vayediah Batchila Velo Basof, Zedon Tuma Migdash V'Kodashav. Yeah, that's according to Shitat Rabbi Yehuda. According to Rabbi Shimon, right, it says Yesh Vayediah Batchila Velo Basof, right? That's also, right? And also this next one. So that means according to everybody, you have everything there. Yes. Okay. Which one?
Awareness, concealment.
Exactly, because he was aware at the beginning. He got concealed in the middle, which is the helem, and then at the end, he knew about it again. So that's according to everybody. That's why it's the highest level. עוד פעם? עוד פעם? The next one is Seir Musaf of Yom Kippurim. So, according to Shitat Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon, it's again, En Bayediah Batchila, V'yesh Yediah Basof. Okay? That's also Rabbi Yehuda and also Rabbi Shimon. According to Rabbi Shimon, right, in the name of Rabbi Shimon Yochai, En Bayediah Batchila, V'yesh Yediah Basof, or En Bayediah Lo Batchila V'lo Basof, or Taor Shachal et Tameh. Okay? Because remember, he's always going up. Meaning like this. Let's just try to get it like this. If you pay attention to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, that's the easiest one. Because go to the bottom and work your way up. You're just adding on a building block. Taor Shachal et Tameh. The next one is Taor Shachal et Tameh plus. Then you go up again. Again, Taor Shachal et Tameh plus. Plus. And then you go on the top, it's everything. You understand? Meaning, again, because basically what's happening is that you're just going upwards. Okay? According to Rabbi Meir, right, it's always going to be the same. Look at Rabbi Meir. The entire chart is the same. You've got it's all the same. Because that's why we read in the middle, Rabbi Meir Omer, Kol HaSeirim, all the Seirim, whether it's of Kippur, Shalosh Regalim, or Rosh Chodesh, Kaparatan Shava. What does that mean? So if you look in the chart, Rabbi Meir, right, the 3 last charts are all the same. Why? The inner one is Yesh Yediah Batchila Velo Basof, right? And then you have Zedon. The Zedon is on purpose. You did it on purpose, deliberately. So the seed of Pnimi is deliberate. That's what we added on. Yes, of course.
Understand? They used to contradict each other.
Who?
Yeah, it's all they do.
Rabbi Meir Balanes and Shimon Bar Yochai all the time. What's the problem?
Teacher, they're supposed to say one thing.
One is Rabbi Shimon, and then is Rabbi Shimon in the name of. He says Hayar Rabbi Shimon Omer, and then it says Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda in his name. Who's in his name? In the name of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Exactly, but it's 2 different opinions. Turn the page back. 2 different opinions. One is Rabbi Shimon.
Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda.
Yes. The second one was his own opinion, and then he brings the opinion of Mishmo shel Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, shel Rashbi. Okay? So Rabbi Meir is very pashut, because Rabbi Meir is basically all the same. And the top one, which is Seir HaPnimi, is Zidon, deliberately. You did it deliberately, and Yesh Vayediah Batchila Velo Basof. Yeah? Why does the top one have to be She'en Lecha Basof? Right? Because remember, we said you never found out about it. So since you never found out about it, so therefore, obviously, you need a seed of Pnimi to come and to be thing. And then the second that you find out, then you bring the Korban Olev Yored. Right? That's what we said. Okay? Now he comes and he says, so that was Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was going upwards. And then Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Yehuda, right, was the different machloka between them. Fine, so we continue Bezrat Hashem